How are you doing, guys? ZedEye here. Today I wanted to definitely talk about Phantom Blade Zero. This was the very first game from within Showcase that genuinely piqued my interest, like seriously. So I want to read out more about this information and kind of get the glimpse of what the hell this is and what you would expect out of this even more. This coming from the PlayStation blog, I definitely want to touch on this, and that's been mentioned of the title, Phantom Blade Zero, a new beginning in a long journey. So let's get in. It all started with the indie game that I made myself with the RPG Maker back in 2010. It was named Rainblood, Town of Death. The process of making it was an escape from the difficulties and frustration life threw at me when I was studying architecture. First in Beijing, I believe that's how you pronounce it, then in New Haven. Then I returned to China and founded S-Game to make more games. Rainblood grew into a whole franchise and picked up a new name, Phantom Blade. Most of these games were for smartphone and never released outside of China. Still, we managed to build a fan base of over 20 million. Now it's time to make the game that we always wanted to make, present it to the world as a new PlayStation 5 game. Allow me to introduce Phantom Blade Zero, a spiritual rebirth of the original Rainblood. It's massively larger and richer, changing the engine from RPG Maker to Unreal Engine 5, but never changed in its core. Interesting. Never heard of Rainblood. I'm curious to see how this goes about. Alright, Phantom Blade, the universe that game is set in, is a universe where many kinds of powers converge. You'll find Chinese Kung Fu, intricate machines reminiscent of the steampunk, arts of the occult, and intriguing stuff that doesn't quite fit in any of these categories. And as such, they showcase a little more screenshots. In Phantom Blade Zero, you're Soul, an elite assassin serving an elusive but powerful organization known simply as the Order. He was framed for the murder of the Order patriarch and gravely injured in manhunt that ensued. A mystique healer manages to save him from death, but makeshift's cure only lasts for 66 days. He must find out of the mastermind behind it all before his time runs out, against powerful foes and inhuman monstrosities. Very interesting. Now this actually makes kind of more sense why this has been mentioned many times in the trailer, about 66 days of his, him to be able to live. Alright, so there's a little bit more. From Louis Chawuchi, hopefully I'm not butchering the name, stories that Bruce Lee movies, and Michelle Yeoh is Everywhere, All at Once. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I meant to say. And Donnie Yen in John Wick Chapter 4. Kung Fu is pop culture and constantly evolving, but always awesome. With Phantom Blade Zero, we are adding a new twist to the formula, a heavy dose of punk spirit alongside the stylish visuals. We call this overall art direction Kung Fu Punk. Interesting. Phantom Blade Zero unfolds in a semi-open world. We are aware that open world is a buzzword in these days, but with the limited resources, we would rather present you multiple maps of reasonable size, and handcrafted and populated with diverse activities instead of one huge continuity full of repurposed, reused assets. And there's a little bit more of the screenshots. The dark, bleak visual style that you'll see a lot of in the game is deliberate decision. A bleak world makes characters with hearts of gold really stand out. Plus, it serves as a reminder to never let your guard down. There are plenty of powerful beings that want to see you dead. They're challenging but abundantly rewarding, in the form of a weapons, armor, artifact, skills, among others, to customize or progress your character. Such as more continuing, screenshots. We're huge fans of the hack and slash genre. Stellar titles like Devil May Cry or Ninja Gaiden are insanely exhilarating with their huge arsenal of moves and lightning fast pace. However, they're not for everyone. What's more popular today is strategic action game, such as Souls-like and Monster Hunter. They choose to slow things down a notch or two, giving players more time for strategic thinking. But that approach doesn't convey the kind of action fest that we have in mind, namely the sleek, breathtaking moves in Kung Fu movies back in the 1990s. And there's more screenshots. Luckily for us, during the decades making mobile games, we learned to simply things in favor of touchscreens, giving players a way to execute elaborate chains of moves with a minimal amount of button mashing. As it turns out, with some tweaks, this mechanism works as well as on controllers. And we honor to have Mr. Kenji Takigaki, I believe that's to pronounce his name, as our action director. Kenji-san is responsible for many mesmerizing fighting scenes in the classic Kung Fu movies. In fact, many of our ideas are inspired by his early works. In Phantom Blade Zero, his role is to demonstrate each designed move, which is then captured on a camera matrix for the reference of our animation artists. You're reading it right. Combat moves in Phantom Blade Zero have to be made with handcrafted animations because the motion capture can't do it justice. And lastly, this is as much as we can disclose at this stage. As we work vigorously on the new PlayStation 5 game, there'll be more news down the road. I'm curious about this, definitely. This game looked fantastic and I hope it lives up to the expectations. I don't believe that there are very high expectations because the developers themselves are not exactly known for making giant, big games such as this. And this more or less is their kind of first crack towards a little closer to AAA standards. Now, I'm curious to see more, definitely. I am curious to see, how much of storytelling will this be also going towards, and kind of how close will it be, like I said, a AAA game. Again, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, well, that's all I got for today. Like and subscribe. See you guys all later, and have a wonderful day.